everybody, and welcome to another Transformers third-party review, fresh off the heels of my last night hot rod video. In today's video, we're taking a look at the Fanstoys FT-18 Hoodlum, aka their version of a masterpiece hot rod. Now, you may be asking, why is this on the KO Lectables channel? It's because it's from our good friends over at Show Z Store, and I like to try and keep those and the likes of Robot Kingdom that's separate, so you know who I purchased what from, and in turn where you should look for it. Now, let's quickly take a look around the box. We've got Hoodlum on the side, we've got Hoodlum on the back there with his Target Master, we've got a lengthy novel of a bio there, we've got ages 15 plus, and again, we've got Hot Rod on the bottom. I know I'm a little bit late to the Hot Rod party, but without further ado, let's take a look. And here we have him out of his styrofoam prison. Now, he's a nice looking figure. I wouldn't say he is perfect. I really don't like those shoulders and the way they sit and the big hollow gaping sections underneath his arms. But that being said, I do think this is substantially better than the Hasbro and Takara offering of Hot Rod. Still prefer the original Rodimus Masterpiece. I think that's actually a really good figure if you've got one that doesn't fall apart. And I can't help but feel that this one is just a little bit underwhelming. It's a good figure, and you know you're going to get a decent quality when it comes to Fanstoys, because that's what you're paying for. You're paying for that production quality, but I just feel that there's some corners that have been cut on the design and something just a little bit off about him. Now, he does definitely look the part. He definitely looks more like the animation style Hot Rod, in my opinion, than what the official one did. And of course, I've just added my own logo there to his chest here, this being a third-party product. Unfortunately, they are unlicensed and they cannot use those insignias. And before we get up close and personal with Hot Rod, let's take a look at his accessories. We get his cutting blade, which is nicely done, much bigger than what we got with the Hasbro version. We get two of these guns, similar but different, again done in this nice shining silver. We get his Target Master. Details on the Target Master are really nicely done, but at the same time, really could have done more around these feet. They're very, very stiff, and I personally find them quite difficult to pose. He tends to be slightly top heavy, but that being said, still very good sculpt and very fitting with what we've got from our other third-party figures. And we also get a tiny little faceplate here, which makes him look more stern, much more like Rodimus. Don't really see the need for this unless we're going to have this Hot Rod alongside the MP10V, that Voyager size version of Optimus Prime, because he's just way too short to be a Rodimus figure. Now, taking a look at Hoodlum himself, he comes with a very nice, clean instruction manual, very easy to follow. And we get this collector's card with the stats and then a very lengthy bio again on the back. And here we have Hoodlum himself. Love those rich colours on here. It's very kind of clean around the legs. Screws are all on the inside there, kept out of the way. I don't like how hollow that is. That's very odd design choice. I mean, I'm not a designer myself, so I don't know, but surely there could have been some sort of filling in there just to help that sit a little bit more naturally. But as much as I like him, he's definitely not without his flaws. We do have some nice rubber wheels on the side here, and this is definitely the most kind of G1 animation inspired Hot Rod that we've had to date. We get the option to place a visor down. We can just flip that up, and he can look up at the shuttle and he's like, Decepticons! And he can point his arms forwards and they can come up and they can kind of rotate. And he can go pew, 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 pew. But you know how it goes. But I as much as I love what Fanstoys does, I can't help but feel that some of their design and QC has slipped a little bit over the last few releases. They used to be immaculate and flawless, but it got to like Cup and RC, etc., kind of those Generation 3 bots, and they felt a little rushed. I don't know if it's because they've got such time restraints and they've got so much planned that they want to release it all, but I can't help but feel that there are a couple of corners that have been cut. Now, faults aside, doesn't he look exceptional alongside some of the Season 3 cast? Now, I've yet to get Apache from Fanstoys. Do we recommend it? I've already had Alan. This is, of course, Big Spring from Open and Play. We've got the Unique Toys version of Blur there. I know Fanstoys releasing one of those as well. But what do we think? I mean, I think personally these all look exceptionally good together. And if we can ignore those faults, which pretty much everybody's going to anyway because it's Fanstoys, then he is a darn good looking hot rod. And I know I'm in a minority, but I do still really love what Takara did with Rodimus. I like the gimmick that they did for a hot rod and then a Rodimus with the legs going up and down, but his hot rod mode wasn't really small enough. And I don't know, Rodimus is a good size, but I think they could have made a better Rodimus had they have shifted that gimmick. What do you think of the colours? It's slightly more purple than the original kind of Takara version, but that being said, isn't that kind of more true to his movie counterpart? And for those of you who still blame Hot Rod for Prime's tragic death, here he is alongside the Infinite Transformations version of Megatron and the Magic Square version of Optimus Prime, both of which are roughly the same scale as MP10. So that gives you an idea of how they all look. In my opinion, that works really well. Now let's cover his articulation. The head can look up and down, albeit very, very slight. I mean, that's like bare minimal. We can go left and we can go right, and we can kind of tilt a little bit. That's quite bad, isn't it, really, considering. The shoulders can go around. Horrible joints there. And you can see all of that movement on that shoulder. These can drop up and down like so. We do, they're not anywhere near tight enough. We should really have some ratchets on there. Now we do get upper bicep rotation there. We get bend on the elbow. We get rotation on the wrist, and we get a peg on that finger. The waist does rotate. There is a little bit of an abdominal crunch, but that's partly due to the transformation. I wouldn't want to push it. It's not a pleasant joint there. This is kind of a killer for me. A single front skirt in this day and age, not really good enough in my opinion. The leg does bend quite nicely there, just a little bit beyond 90 degrees there. We've got a nice big QC sticker stuck on the side of that leg there. The feet can go forwards and backwards. They can also tilt side to side, and we do have the independent heel spur. So with some nice tight joints and that heft in the die cast feet, he is a very well balanced figure. He does look remarkably good posed up. Now before we get Hot Rod transformed up, let's take a look at his Target Masters articulation. The head can rotate left and right. We've got ball mounted shoulders. They can go all the way up and over. There's an upper bicep rotation. There's a bend on the elbow there. There's some rotation there as well. There is waist rotation. We can move the backpack up and down. The legs can come forwards, backwards, out to the side, that much. There's no upper thigh rotation. We do have a bend on that knee there, and the feet can just move ever so slightly. Not a great deal of motion there, but enough nonetheless now to get him transformed up. You want to move this section upwards like so. Rotate around on that knee joint. So again, rotate that around on that knee joint. These are going to come in together and tab in like so, pushing in nicely. This is then going to bend up and that's going to come over like so. The arms come up and then this forearm's going to just sit up there. So that's the right round. That's going to come up, that's going to bend over, and that's just going to come up and sit down like so. That's going to straighten up. Now you would think that these sections here would line up. There's holes in the bottom of the feet there, but no, that is not the case. They do not line up at all. But that is our Target Master. He is not the most ingenious of Target Masters, but he will do. Right, now let's get Hot Rod transformed up. You want to just untab this whole head section. That's going to rock back, and that allows this torso to kind of separate, and that just drops back into position like so. Bring these arms up either side like this, and then this panel here is going to drop down so we can see the inside there. Slide this section up, it's on a pin, and then you want to rotate this round 180 degrees, and then with this panel down we can slide these on a rocking hinge. These are going to come out to the side and up. That's going to form part of that hood, and with him precariously balanced, we're going to move these arms backwards and then lift that up into that bonnet piece. Slide that up, attaching either side. Come around to these arms. You want to open up the hand. There's this tab underneath which is going to come up, and then grabbing this top piece as well. This is going to pull up and away from that arm. That's just then going to expand. This closes off, this slides across, and then as the hand rocks backwards, the fingers bend, and it's going to slide wonderfully into that void, and then grab these exhausts, and those are going to fold back. You're going to flip out the front end of the pipes like so, and then rock this all the way back, tabbing that in. Now do that with both sides. Make sure that the backpack is unhooked from the Hot Rod windscreen section. Bring this panel down. Hot Rod's head is going to turn 90 degrees. We have these tabs in the back of the legs which are going to open, and then the head is going to slide down into this void. This panel here is going to open up. These shoulder tab pieces here are going to slide inwards, and this hinge here slides up, and we're going to slide that out of this tab here, and this allows us to rotate this panel all the way around like so, and then we can just push this down. These arms tab in to the side, open up the rear of the leg. These wheels come outwards. We push that peg hard, and basically as we push that in, that actually slides down, locking these two pieces together. You can then fold that heel spur inwards, rotate this section here, which is just going to rotate on that ankle joint like this, and we can bend this down, and then this rotates upwards. These panels on the roof rotate around, and then this is going to sit flat, and then just slide those legs together and up. This is going to close off, and then this is all going to slide backwards, and in theory that's going to tab in. So let's start with the front end, pushing all of this back. These line up pretty nicely at the back there. And we've got two sets of pins for these. We've got one just around that elbow, and then there's another one that goes in just above the leg. These tabs in with great difficulty. This all just pushes in firmly. You can then flip this up. This rotates around and comes down. Make sure all of this is tabbed in as it should be, and then make sure that you have these purple sections here inside the outside of those legs. And here we have one pretty darn gorgeous hot rod in his vehicle mode. It's not the most fluid of transformations, but it works nonetheless. It's just a matter of getting those tabs in at the correct angle. I've heard of people scratching their bonnets on these as well. I haven't had any problems with mine. I mean, there is a small fleck on the front there. Is that what people are referring to? Possibly, but I mean, just look at that. That's what we look like underneath. The Target Master tabs in quite nicely. He rolls really nicely as well. There we have the hood. We have a little bit of space in there, not really adequate space for a Spike and Daniel, in my opinion. But what are your thoughts? Do you think it could work? I don't know. I love what they've done. It's definitely leaps and bounds better than the Hasbro equivalent, but it's by no means perfect. And to give you an idea of how he looks in his vehicle mode compared to the likes of the MP10, there he is. I think that's a fantastic scale. Again, much better, in my opinion, than what we got with the official. I would transform up my MP09, but I am terrified it's going to fall apart. That is where this figure stands out to me. The fact that I have no fear of it breaking or kind of falling to pieces, that in itself is a huge plus point and easily warrants the small price for this figure. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Is Hoodlum the definitive hot rod? Where could they have improved, if anywhere? Personally, I still think there was work to be done on those shoulder areas. Even with the backpack kind of spread open or closed, you're still left with that kind of gaping hole at the back there. But it could be a lot worse. Thanks again to Shozy for making this review possible. I've included a link in the description below where this can be purchased. And until next time, from myself and Hoodlum, thanks for watching. Goodbye.